Good morning. Welcome to the Hillsborough County Tourist Development Council quarterly meeting on May 12th, Thursday at 10:40. We're running a little late. Apologize for that. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Mr. Ron Barton to do a roll call, please.
Thank you, Chairman. We'll call roll now. Overman?
Here.
Castor?
Here.
Virtual. Antonaccio? Jeff? Okay.
Ron, he had to step off for 15 or 20 minutes and said he would rejoin shortly.
Okay. Bartholomew?
Here.
Collier? Here. Gonzmar?
Here.
Kilton?
Here.
Manthe?
Here.
Morrison?
Here.
Placencia?
Here virtually.
And Ross?
Here.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I am assuming we have a quorum
We have a
in
quorum.
person, so
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
excellent. Now that we are actually doing hybrid meetings, we have an opportunity for those that are able to attend and make our quorum, so that's excellent. But we also have the opportunity for those that need to attend virtually to also attend, so it's a nice way of making sure we get to do our business. With that, I'd like to ask the board to consider reviewing the minutes and entertain a motion for approval.
Madam Chair, just as a point of clarification, we sent out a revision. That you'll see that in the yellow. And then we also, Mayor Ross indicated that he attended virtually in the February meeting as well. We'll make that change as well.
Okay.
Part of the process of going back to normal. So as you can tell, we'll start calling roll again so we get a good count of who's participating and how. And we're also going to bring in August all the minutes that were not adopted formally. We'll get them all cleaned up, and we'll ask you to approve them in August.
Excellent. So I have a motion to approve the minutes with the changes by,
Second.
okay, and, okay, by Mr. Morrison, and a second by, who made the second?
Jim Bartholomew.
Mr. Bartholomew. Please do a roll call vote, please.
Overman?
Yes.
Castor?
Yes, if you vote Castor.
Antonaccio? He stepped out. Bartholomew?
Yes.
Collier?
Yes.
Gonzmar?
Yes.
Kilton?
Yes.
Manthe?
As a point of order, I don't know if I approved them because I wasn't in attendance.
Yep, that's fine. We'll note that. Morrison?
Yes.
Placencia?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. And for the record, that was the February 11th meeting. And also, I was actually trying to log in, but I was on a plane, and it just was not cooperating. So I appreciate Mayor Castor chairing the meeting on February 11th, and we will approve the prior months or prior quarterly meetings at a future date. With that, we'll enter the period of public comment. I have a written public comment sent in by someone, but is there anyone online that would like to speak?
Hello?
Hello, is this Mr. Constantino?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please proceed. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Neil Costantino. I'm a member of a small Hillsborough County-based, all-volunteer, self-funded public interest think tank and a retired Air Force fighter pilot. My mission today is to introduce you to a new green tourism project. But first, we thank you all for all you do for Hillsborough County tourism, which adds to our quality of life and standard of living mission. It is truly appreciated. Kevin LaFleur has come to the TDC before. Jan Platt credited us with saving the Gandy Bridge and developing the Friendship Trail. And we were successful with TD funding in getting Florida Hillsborough for the first time into a bid for the 2012 Olympics. We like to think that started Tampa on a roll. We are here again for another first, an iconic green tourism, green unicorn project that has 3 big wins. Hillsborough Green Tourism heads and beds wins. We Hillsborough taxpayers win. Our planet Spaceship Earth wins. We are all winners by repurposing the I-275 Howard Franklin Bridge into a green tourism, energy, mobility, and recreation venue. The following was sent to you yesterday by TD staff. We know how busy you are, so I'll quickly review the highlights of why we should repurpose the bridge, install a PV clean energy canopy, and operate the bridge as a venue that supports green tourism. The bridge is valued at over $300 million and scheduled to be demolished at a cost of $35 million when the new southbound 8-lane bridge opens in 2025, if on time. The bridge is 60 foot wide, 2.5 miles long, safe the day it closes for a maximum number of 40-ton vehicles on each span, dynamic loading. The bridge has an F.7 health and sufficiency rating at near 90% and will be rated well over 100%, the repurposed bridge being planned for static and dynamic loads of only 4 tons on each span. One plan includes forming a public-private partnership, a P3, like that used by TPA and TICO. We would install a 60-foot wide, 2.5-mile solar array canopy that would shade the new Green Cross Tampa Bay tourism, pedestrian, and bike trail. Sale of the clean energy kilowatt currency would pay to maintain the green tourism-related bridge in operations. If the chair would allow me, I can quickly review the 26 wins associated with the project. Thank you for this opportunity. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Unfortunately, we only allotted 3 minutes for your presentation, but thank you for providing us with that information and being here today. I don't see anyone else that signed up for public comment, and we did receive an email from Mr. Cosentino that will be included in your package.
Madam Chair, we may want to just vote to accept that into the record for the TDC.
Right. Could I get a motion to accept the letter as part of our minutes for today's meeting?
Move to accept the letter.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and for simplicity's sake, can I get an aye or an A? All approved?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the welcome to our new member, Mr. Troy Matthey, President and CEO of the Yacht Starship, Yacht Starship. Would you like to say a few words and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Overman, and thank you to the County Commission for having faith in me and appointing me to the TDC here. I take the responsibility very seriously, and I promise to be good stewards of the bed tax and the county's funds. The bed tax is what feeds our industry. We've been in business here in Tampa for 20 years now. I'm a 5th generation passenger vessel family member. My family was in the steamboat business in the Midwest, was the largest operator of steamboats, passenger steamboats that is, at one time. So very passionate about our industry, vessel tourism. We operate the Yacht Starship, Pirate Water Taxi, the Lost Pearl Pirate Ship, and we have 2 other concepts under development for the water right now. So we're employed just under 200 employees, so we rely heavily on the visitation here to our city. You know, having heads in beds is critical to having butts in seats. So we're very bullish on Tampa. We're investing in Tampa. We intend to grow our employee base with great tourism-paying jobs, and we're very excited about that. I want to thank Ron Barton also for a very thorough orientation. It was spot on, and I appreciate that. And congratulate Richard on his service here, and the only bad part about me coming on is you're going off, and I was looking forward to your wisdom of all the time you've been on the TDC. So hopefully your daughter will fill your shoes. So thanks again, and I appreciate it and look forward to serving.
Well, welcome, and we're glad to have you and appreciate your volunteerism to participate in this effort. The next item is in your minutes. You will find a letter of resignation. Our esteemed colleague, is it Dr. Richard Gonsmart now? Yes. Did I hear something really special about that?
Yes.
Dr. Gonsmart has sent us a letter indicating that for personal reasons, he has offered his letter of resignation, which is in the record. And with that, I'd like to offer some accommodations and other materials today. So if you don't mind joining me at the podium, we will go through, we'll offer you that. I won't bite, I promise. Today is an absolutely awesome day, but it's also a sad day, but I have a feeling we're not going anywhere anytime soon. So it is such an honor to be here this morning to present Dr. Richard Gonsmart with a commendation on behalf of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commission and the Tourist Development Council after the close of 3 decades of service to Hillsborough County residents. Mr. Gonsmart is a man of many talents, as we know, and he is a steward of a family legacy, a restaurant legacy, and the 4th of now 5 generations of ownership of the Columbia restaurant. He is a charitable member of numerous renowned local organizations, and he is a key visionary in the tourism and tourism marketing through his involvement in Visit Tampa Bay as past chairman and member of the advisory board, as well as the Hillsborough County Tourist Development Council. In January of 1993, he joined the council and has served as the beginning of a long, fruitful relationship. During his tenure, hotel revenues for Hillsborough County rose over $221 million to over $660 million. And that's been rapidly increasing over the last year, especially. In addition, the tourist development tax collections increased by $6.6 million to nearly $40 million annually. This facilitated the creation of a community-based venues such as Steinbrenner Field, the Yankees Spring Training Center facility, and the ongoing improvements to Raymond James Stadium, the Tampa Bay Bucks training facility, the Amalie Arena, and the county's multi-purpose sports competition complex. Mr. Gonsmart, or Dr. Gonsmart, also advocated for policies that foster accountability in tourism tax funding. He created a vital decision model that ensures adequate funding continues to be available to community marketing efforts that attract visitors in Hillsborough County. And as we'll hear later, we are winning in that area all across the country. As you leave the council, after 29 prosperous years, Mr. Gonsmart, or Dr. Gonsmart, it does say Mr. on the plaque because we didn't make the change before. We'd already had it in there, so the proclamation doesn't say doctor, but I want to recognize that that is the case. Accomplishments will continue to strengthen your legacy for many, many years to come. The Board of County Commission of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby commend Richard Gonsmart for his commitment to service to the Tourist Development Council, and we wish you well in all of your endeavors. Thank you so much. Hillsborough County has been blessed with Mr. Gonsmart's dedication to continued growth and success of Hillsborough County. There are few more deserving of receiving this accommodation than Richard Gonsmart. For over 3 decades, he has spent countless hours of his own time volunteering for the benefit of our entire region. And for that, we owe you a great dedication and appreciation. Thank you so very, very much. We also have, so this is the commendation, and it says all of what I read, except for it didn't say the doctor part. And, and I do have a second plaque of appreciation. So if you didn't have enough plaques on your wall, we wanted to make sure you had 2 more. This one reads, in appreciation, presented to Richard Gonsmart for the service to the Hillsborough County Tourist Development Council from January of 1993 through May of 2022. Presented this 12th day of May, 2022 by the Board of County Commission, Hillsborough County, Florida, signed by all 7 commissioners.
Wow, that's great.
So thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
everything.
much.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to give you an opportunity to say a few words, and then the family and friends that want to come up will do a photo session together.
I stand here humbled as a 4th-generation member of our family that came to a small village called Ybor City, giving opportunity to those from Spain, from Cuba, from Sicily, Germany, Romania, to give an opportunity to their families to become the great citizens they have become. This city was not a tourist city, but for over 40 years I was honored to promote Tampa Bay when we were cooking in Minneapolis at a convention there for 1,700 people. When I was in Lexington, and we did paella with flamenco dancers. When we were in Orlando, in their neighborhood, promoting and doing a tour of Canada in the month of February, promoting this great community. Now I know why the Canadians come to Florida in February. There's so much more to be done, but I've seen the growth. It was so important that we support Visit Tampa Bay, the arm that promotes our great community. And as I drove from Orlando through Ruskin, I wanted to see how this area has grown. The housing, the businesses that are opening, the jobs being created, and through Apollo Beach, Plant City, Temple Terrace, which I think is a lovely area that used to be another country, but today is only 20 minutes away. And I love this whole area. But I'm proud, though, to recommend the application of my daughter, Andrea Gonsmart, who was 13 years old at the time I first sat on this board. And she's here with us today, and Andrea, I would just like for you to stay and let everybody see who you are.
Oh, she's coming up. I have a feeling we're going to get her up here.
You know, she understands the importance of promoting this community is together. The #1 of employer in Hillsborough County is that of hospitality. The hotels, we've gone from 200 million to 600 million plus. Our business has grown multiples, 200% since I've been here. Thank you for allowing me to be on this, and thank you very much for the recognition. And I know we're in good shape with Troy on board and a great group that are on here that have been supporting, and I look forward to their growth. As I try to step away in the next 2.5 years from the day-to-day so I can do what I love doing, that's helping children.
Excellent.
And spending time giving hope to those that need some direction. Thank
Well,
you.
I have a common mission, so I look forward to that partnership. Sorry, you guys, you're stealing him. If you would like to come up and we'll do a photo together, please.
Come up.
And if you guys want to come straight here, we'll do a photo of everyone together. Come on, Glenn. Okay, let's do this. That's why I heard it upside down.
We got it.
I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, just come a little bit this way. Yeah, there you go. Okay. You guys look awesome. Excellent. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you. And if any of the board members would like to say a few words before we move on to the next agenda, please feel free, raise your hand, and Mr. Morrison.
Madam Chair and members of the council, I've had a chance to work with Richard in this endeavor for all those years that he's sat on this council. The council members, Troy, you have come on board just at the right time because we have money. There was a day when we did not have money, and these meetings were contentious. There were those fighting over a penny here and a nickel there, and these meetings weren't pleasant. But one of the things that anyone who came before us understood was that we were here for the public good. We were here to make sure that our community was better for our effort. And Richard led that charge, and passionate as he would always be, he didn't always get the vote that he was seeking, but it was not because he did not articulate the passion that the hospitality community realized was needed to make Tampa and Hillsborough County what it is today. So, my brother, I am humbled to have served with you. I know Casey's in the audience as well, and you guys have done a great job of leading and taking the baton and running with it. I think and I hope that we will have the opportunity to do something that we've not done very often, which is as a body to endorse the appointment of Andrea to our council, because the restaurant industry is a critical voice for what we do and who we are, and no voice more represents that industry in our community than the Gunsmart family and the Columbia Restaurant Group. So I'm hoping that after all comments are made, that we can take an unusual but deserved step to move to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners that they consider the application of Andrea Williams as a member of our body.
Excellent. Thank you very much for those comments. The next person that is asked to speak is Lou Placencia. Placencia? Did I say that right, Lou? Okay.
You got it right, Madam Chair. Thank you.
You're recognized.
Thank you. Again, just wanted to offer my sincere thanks to Richard and to his family. And for Richard and for the Gunsmarts, it has been a family affair forever. Your commitment to this county, your commitment to the citizens has never wavered. Doing the right thing has always been important to you. And I second Mr. Morrison's suggestion and support of Andrea joining the council. And I hope that we can continue the family affair for much longer. Rich, you know how I feel about you. As I said, it's family. So thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your family's contributions. Thank you for making Hillsborough County and the Tampa Bay area as successful as we have been. A lot of that is due to you and your family and your continued support. May God continue to bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, now you made him cry, okay? We kind of knew this was going to happen today. So, Richard, we thought we were going to make you cry. I apologize. Mayor Castor, you're recognized.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry that I'm not down there in person to say how much I appreciate Richard and his entire family. It's so nice that you get to pass off the business to Andrea, and I know no doubt she will do a great job. You and Casey have done amazing things with the restaurant. I just talked about yesterday in a group from Lexington, Kentucky was down here, and they're coming into your restaurant to eat, and I just went over how wonderful it is. But it's really not in the business. That's appreciated, what you've done for hospitality, what you've done for this city, what you have done in the form of business is certainly commendable and has meant so much to our community, but it's what you do as a person, Richard. And I know firsthand, you and I have had so many conversations about the needs in our community, and you're always the first to come forward no matter what it is. And it's not just with funding for needs in our community, it's actually rolling up your sleeves and getting in there. I'll just give one of probably thousands of examples. Your love of, and support of law enforcement, and you actually came and rode in the Police Unity Tour, which is this week. They're out on the street right now, the roads from West Virginia into Washington, D.C. And not only did you support that and you continue to support it financially, but you actually came out on your bicycle and you rode with the police officers and the survivors of those who had lost their lives in the line of duty. And those demonstrations from the heart are moments that no one will ever forget. So God bless you. Thank you for your service. And I'll tell you right now, you'll never retire. So, you know, you can do or say whatever you want, but you're still going to be out there. You and Melanie will be as active as you ever were. So look forward to our next adventure, and thank you for all that you've done, not only for this council, but for our community as a whole. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Castor. Anyone else? Okay. Well, thanks again for your service. As we all know, we're going to find you and expect that you'll be doing other wonderful things. Right, exactly. So thank you very, very much. I truly, truly appreciate your service, and look forward to your next adventure. Mr. Morrison, you recognize.
Madam Chair, if I may, I mentioned earlier that I hope that I'd be allowed to make a motion to this council that we would join as a body to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners the appointment of Andrea Gunsmart-Williams to this body to speak as a presence for the restaurant industry and the critical role it plays in our hospitality family.
Excellent. So we have a motion.
I would second that motion.
And we have a second. Just for a point of order, I'd like to actually check with Mr. Barton or our legal counsel and speak to the application process, that whether that would violate our policy at this point, or whether or not we have applications in the queue that would need to be considered along with it. I wholly support the recommendation, but I want to make sure we're following whatever our bylaws indicate.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. The position opening, once Richard had shared his resignation letter, we went ahead and opened it and advertised it. That is closed now. There were 7 applications, not to get into the details, but probably 3 or 4 will be qualified under the tourism-related criteria. And of course, Andrea is one of the applicants. Other than that, as Bob mentioned, it's a rare occurrence. The TDC typically doesn't make recommendations to the board, but it's certainly well within their purview to be able to offer their opinion and share that with the board if you so desire.
Excellent, thank you. The only question I had is, normally what the board will do is consider all the applications that came forward and present it to the Board of County Commission. Obviously, Andrea's application will be there, because I'm assuming you filled out the application. And to possibly edit your motion, this body would like to send a letter of recommendation for her application in that process to the Board of County Commission.
The application is accepted and appropriate.
Excellent. Then we'll take a vote, and I will send a letter to the board. Excellent. So with that, can we do a voice vote? Any approved?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, on to the next item. We have the administrative report. Mr. Barton, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll direct the board to the administrative report that you have in front of you. We may or may not get it on the screen, but that's fine. You have copies of it, so do the folks that are remote. So the first page, as you are used to seeing in my report, this is a quarterly report for the 3-cent portion, the tourist development tax. Again, on the revenue side, The continuing good news, and we'll talk about this separately from the financials, you can see the budget for revenues versus where we are in collections at the mid-year mark. So we're tracking pretty well, and by all accounts, we're going to exceed our budgeted amount, which is a good thing. The expenditures for tax collections and the Tourist Development Administration are standard. We've described them to you before. And under the expenses, all of these items are contractual. So you've adopted them at the beginning of the budget period and recommended it to the BOCC. The BOCC has approved these contracts as part of their budget for the 2-year cycle. So they're really pro rata, with the exception of the sports complex, which we pay out at the beginning of the year per the request of TSA. And then you'll recall we had a presentation from Plant City in the last meeting, and they're right on the cusp of getting a guaranteed maximum price and information associated with that. I suspect they're real close, and we'll give a report on that in August. We may or may not pull that $500,000 down, but we have a contract with them. If you remember, it's matching, and it requires us to reimburse them, so it's not an upfront grant. So if we have to carry it over, we will, but we will see by the August meeting where they are. The second page I'll direct you to is the 6th cent. And again, same news, collection of revenues exceeding budget, recognizing that we're in the mid-year mark compared to what the annual budget number is. So the three items and expenses here, I've covered them with you before, but I'll remind everybody, including the audience. There are 3 basic contracts that address the expenditures for the 6th cent. The first is the Tampa Convention Center, where the county has an agreement with the city of Tampa. It's a described capital program that they brought to us. TDC reviewed it and endorsed it, and the BOCC approved the contracts associated with it. It's $2 million a year. Again, like Plant City, it's a match, so the city matches us on those dollars, and we're also reimbursement to the city. So lots of safeguards for the TDT funds. You will also recall that the Board of County Commission, with the endorsement or a recommendation by this board to allocate 20% of the 6th cent to Visit Tampa Bay to continue to ensure marketing dollars are available and part of the process. And then lastly, and this is a change, I want to describe it to you. We created a cultural and attraction-based capital program. This is where the cultural facilities, anywhere from the zoo and the aquarium to Tampa Museum of Art or the Straz or the theater, can make application. We review them in detail. So they're not grants, they're actually reimbursements again, and they're also matching again to our dollars. So lots of discipline in the program. The change that I wanted to bring to your attention, in the previous reports under the quarterly transaction, I've had 0. What I want to explain here is I've chosen to place the encumbered contractual obligations into this line item now. So this is not a cash outlay, that's the only difference. It's not a cash outlay, and we footnoted it. But this does reflect our contractual obligations, and we'll make adjustments as projects change or evolve or are terminated or completed. But that's the only substantial difference in the financials this time around. Turn to the next page. You're familiar with these charts, but I just want to show this happens to be the 3 cent portion. There's actually an April number as well, which I'm sure Santiago will cover, but you can see that we're 92% ahead of last year in the year to date. And the rebound is more than just a rebound. It's strong. Mm-hmm. So great news related to the industry and how it's reflected in this benchmark. If you'll turn the page, we started showing the 6 cents separately since we've collected it now for a little while. So again, your percentages won't change. They're the same. but you can see the amount of dollars collected in the 6 cent. So just wanted to point that out. The next one is the full 6 cent. Just shows the full collection. So you can see FY19 was probably our best normal year at 35 million. We're already at 26 million in the midway mark. So you can see that we're well on our way to surpass our best ever year, which is phenomenal. And then lastly, a graphic that just shows the same thing. It shows the 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. So you can see in the yellow at the very top, the phenomenal year that we're experiencing, not just against the 2 COVID years, which are lower, but also the 2019 year, which was non-COVID. So great news on that front, and I would, Madam Chair, entertain any questions.
Excellent. Any questions? Mayor Castor, you had your hand up for, was that related to this or just from the previous item?
Just forgot to take it down.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions regarding the data that we've been presented? Do I have a motion to receive the report? Excellent. I have a motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Matthew and Collier. And with that, we'll do a voice of all approved.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much for that report. That was exciting news. It also helps us really put the data point to the improvement in the records that we will hear from Mr. Kurata. And with that, the next item on the agenda is the report from the Tampa Bay Convention and Visitors Bureau, or Tampa Bay CVB, presented by Santiago Kurata, President and CEO of the Tampa Bay Convention and Visitors Bureau. You're welcome.
Good morning, Madam Chair, honorable members of our TDC. Before I get into the numbers and our report, I'd like to say a few things about Dr. Gansmart. As if not enough has been said, but we all have our personal recollections of interactions. And little did I know, and I think he may have heard me say this before, when I was a 15-year-old kid that came to watch the Tampa Bay Rowdies versus the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, that I would go to dinner at the Columbia restaurant and be in awe of the surroundings and the food, and then 42 years later get to tell the incredible stories not only of the Columbia, but Eulalie, Casa Santo Stefano, Goody Goody. And so I as well want to thank you for being such a fierce, and I say that probably very politely, a fierce champion and advocate for our industry, but also for preserving our history, our culture, and who we are. Because the stories that we get to tell about those restaurants speak to our history, our culture, our diversity, our heritage. So on behalf of, I know, our entire Visit Tampa Bay family, past chairs, advisory boards, we also owe you a debt of gratitude for always being in our corner and understanding that marketing really works and really creates economic development. So also on behalf of Visit Tampa Bay, I'd like to say thank you. And, you know, I know sometimes emotions don't play a part in what we do, but going back to something that Dr. Gansmart said, we have so much to be proud of. And I think when I walk through our presentation, and you've already heard from Mr. Barton, the numbers and where we are and how we're performing against our very best year back in fiscal year 2019, we really, really, really have a lot to be proud of as far as not just the industries come, but really the development that has been created throughout all of Hillsborough County. So I want to, you're going to have to pardon my view. I don't have a laptop here today, so I'm going to look off the monitors as we walk through the presentation. So if we could put up the presentation full screen, I'd appreciate that. Next slide, please. So these are Smith Travel Research Inc. numbers. These are actual numbers. This is for the month of March, which is our last actual month in the quarter. We're reporting on quarter 2, January, February, March. And you see there how Hillsborough County, and I always have to emphasize, Hillsborough County, not Tampa Bay, not Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco. Hillsborough County is performing for this past month against Florida and, of course, the U.S. And when you're looking at occupancy numbers, and I know Joe and some others would attest, when you're over 85% occupancy, and that's the average for the month, you're looking at some tremendous numbers. You're looking at hotel occupancy on Friday and Saturday nights of over 90%, which means we're sold out. When you're talking about over 90% occupancy countywide, not just downtown or West Shore, countywide, you're talking some extraordinary numbers. And we should be even more proud because, as we all know, we've added more hotel rooms since 2019 than we had in our entire history. So when you're talking about an excess of 3,000 more rooms to fill and still carry occupancy this high, again, something to really, really be proud of. So the next slide, please, as we get into now quarter 2, for Hillsborough County. This again includes January, February, March. Don't feel bad about 79.3 for the quarter because you'll see how it stacks up against other people for January, February, March of this calendar year, which is actually quarter 2 for us. But you see there some pretty extraordinary numbers with, and I guess I can't see it because we have the subtitles there, but incredible revenue number there for 3 months. And just to put that in perspective, right? A few years ago, we wanted to hit 600 million in a calendar year. We're at 301 million in 3 months. So my staff will kill me for saying this because prior to the pandemic, we had said 1 by 25, a billion by 2025. We may hit a billion by 2022, which is pretty extraordinary. So we'll keep an eye on that running tab. Next slide, please. If you look at occupancy, again, don't want you to feel bad about that, 79.3, 79.4 compared to fiscal year 19 quarter 2, because as you'll see, it's very, very strong. Next slide, which is really, really strong for the quarter, is our average daily rate. And obviously, rising tides lift all boats. And when you have some higher rates in some hotels because of occupancy or the product or the demand, you see how it affects all. Next slide, I believe, shows revenue per all available rooms. And that also is a very strong number compared to all those prior quarter 2s that we see there on the chart. Next slide. And of course, I just mentioned the 301 million, almost 301 million in just 3 months. Next slide. If you look at downtown hotel performance, you have 4 submarkets, just to remind everyone, per Smith Travel Research for the quarter. These are the healthy numbers for downtown. Next slide, I believe, shows East County. It says East Tampa, that's just how they name it, but East County, Fairgrounds, Brandon, all the stuff to the east in the county. And you see their occupancy number there of 83.6 for the quarter, for the entire second quarter. Next slide, I believe, is North Tampa Bush, and you see their numbers. And then finally, you see the West Shore number on the next slide. So again, all sectors doing well during the second quarter. Next slide, please, looks at our comp set. And that's why I was telling you not to frown on the 79.3, because for quarter 2 versus all of those top markets that we compete against in our set, we were number 1. So won't say anything about those other competitors that we always wanted to be like. Don't want to be like them right now. So next slide, quarter 2, that talks about average daily rates. Again, when you see that entire comp set and you see where we are with regards to average daily rate, and some of you will remember some of these from prior years, that ADR was not in the number 2 position. So again, a lot to be proud of. And then the last one, revenue per available room, mirrors the average daily rate slide, with being pretty solidly there in the number 2 spot. So great numbers against our competition. Next slide, please. Looks at hotel taxable revenue for Q2. This gets a little bit confusing. I always say it's Q2, January, February, March, but really collections in December, January, February, actual collections. The hotels have a month to remit them. We count them in the month they're remitted. So the good thing about this, and I'll jump the gun, and Mr. Barton may kill me after the meeting, but we've already collected March, which is April, and March, best revenue record of all time, over $117 million in 1 month, and over $7 million in bed tax collections. By far the best in both. So that one you'll see in your next quarter because it's your April number, which was really collected in March. So here are your December, January, February actual collections that count as our Q2 of taxable revenue. Next slide should show the graph, which is year to date. And you've seen some representation of this from Mr. Barton, but you see there again, we both used, I guess, the yellow line. Yellow line looks good, right? And then next slide looks at bed tax collections, again for Q2, so I'm jumping year to date back and forth, but on bed tax collections, you see there for January, February, March, which is December, January, February, where we are. Remember 30 and 3? We're hitting half of that in 3 months. So pretty good trajectory there. And then the next slide, I believe, would show bed tax collections year to date, October through March. Again, yellow lines look really good. Next slide. As we look at April, what we have through April actuals, Submit Travel Research Inc. numbers, April is looking really, really good through the 23rd of April. So if you want to kind of predict or project what the collections might be, we hit 117 million in March. April, which we will have through the end of May to submit, which will be our May number. Based on those numbers, April looks like another record setter. So with 7 days missing or so, 7, 8 days, 82.2% occupancy, and those revenue numbers are really, really solid. Next slide. And so leadership events, we pride ourselves on being not just a destination marketing organization, but destination leadership organization, getting involved in the community, speaking about the power of tourism and the economic impact. Here you see some of the numbers for the activity in this area, which we really evaluate ourselves on. So a lot of interactions in the quarter. Next slide, please. And client events. Lots of work going on in market as well as out of market. We're extremely, extremely busy. All of those activities lead to all those future bookings that come up in these numbers. So again, extremely busy during this quarter. Next slide. And convention sales production for the quarter, some really nice groups coming in here shortly, and one really a nice one coming in January of 2024 when we have foot and ankle surgeons in town. We just had colon and rectal surgeons in town, as well as Blacks in Energy. So we're seeing some really, really great groups coming to town that we haven't seen before. So that's all good, and also fitting the product that's being developed in and around the convention center. Next slide, please. And so here are just some snapshots of the team out there, get some visual representation of those numbers that I talked about a few slides back. Next slide. And then we had a great Gasparilla Fam where we brought in a lot of potential clients that love to sign around pirates. So if they're around pirates, we give them a contract and they sign, and then we have a convention in 2 years. So great time was had by all, as you can see them in our visitor center. And next slide, please. And yes, in town we've had a number of partnerships events. Marriott had their third-party planners and bookers in town, thanks to our friends at Marriott Water Street and JW Marriott, and we were able to speak to hundreds of those third-party buyers that fill our Marriott hotels. So very, very happy to support Marriott with that venture. Next slide. And then just hosted a medical fam to bring in more of those groups that we're highly coveting to enjoy some of our product that we're developing here. Next slide. And Talk Up Tampa Bay, as you know, we love for our locals to give us leads that then we go out and capture, so I always want to put in a plug for that. In fact, we've had quite a few of those that have come our way lately that have been converted into business for future years. So Talk Up Tampa Bay means a great deal to us. Next slide. And multicultural sales production, you see there some groups that have come in the second quarter of this year, as well as big ones that are coming up. And the EEI is the estimated economic impact of those events with those attendees. So some great numbers there. Next slide. And these are some visuals of some of those events and some of those bids that we were working on to ensure that the groups come to Hillsborough County. Next slide. And there's an image of one of our vehicles, our wrap vehicles. Marketing dollars pay for marked vehicles and out-of-home billboards and digital media. And so this is, it doesn't look very wild there, but it says in the wild. So I would imagine that that's a wild town the car is driving through. So one of our many wrap vehicles. Next slide. And so talking about our digital campaigns, you know, we have some incredible metrics that really look at the return on ad spend, the return on investment. So this digital campaign here that we're reporting on from the months of October through March had a yield of $32.2 million in enriched hotel booking dollars with an average daily rate of $198. In the past, we were a little concerned about online travel agents and OTAs, but they're really yielding now some pretty decent average daily rates, which is good for us. Next slide. And so if you're interested in who these folks are that are booking, you see there our top hotel origin markets, where people are going online and booking through these digital campaigns. And then you see our top flight origins, where people are booking and flying in to TPA, and there's an interesting, some interesting movement there, where you see New York dropping, a few slots there behind Philadelphia and Newark. So interesting dynamics post-COVID time. So next slide, please. And then overall, when you look at the campaign, the OTA campaigns, not just the digital, you see there some pretty impressive numbers. And the one number that jumps off the page at me is 108 return on ad spend, which means that what working through them is really yielding some big numbers as far as bookings. And mind you, these are pretty confirmed numbers. This is from the moment somebody goes on one of these digital ads on one of these platforms, all the way to putting their credit card in and booking a hotel room. So these are pretty real numbers. Next slide. And I think there's a video, our new destination video. Yeah, we can play that. Next slide, please. So if you noticed at the end, we had sign language. And so we've been very, very big on inclusion in many, many different ways. And so this is one of our influencers who is looking at tourism through her lens, having cerebral palsy. And she's out there working with us, really talking about what an inclusive community we have and how accommodating it is. And so very, very proud of our work there. Next slide. As a leadership organization, we're working with a third party that has created the Tampa River Walk Pass. We already had the city pass, but we really wanted a ticket that you could purchase and enjoy all of the unique attractions that are in or around the Riverwalk. And the pass is doing very, very well. I want to thank those members in our community that stepped up and wanted to be a part of the pass, because you have to give a little to maybe get a little. And so again, 7 attraction, 1 ticket, and so we're very, very happy how well that's going. As far as a leadership position, we market, but now we're really trying to sell our attractions and give back there as well. So the next slide, I believe, talks about our friends at Film Tampa Bay, who live with us, are a big part of what we do. And if I could channel my good friend Tyler, he'd say that although the permits are down, look at the production spend and the total spend, which is far better than it's ever been, actually. He doesn't have the 19 numbers, but when you compare to back to 19, they're also doing very, very well. And I think the last slide shows a few of the productions that have landed in Q2. My very favorite 90 Day Fiancé is on there, which, if you haven't seen it, is full of drama and excitement. So even 90 Day Fiancé had a filming in Tampa, Hillsborough County, actually, in different parts of Hillsborough County. So again, I think that's the end of my presentation. I want to thank all of you for your support, and I would open it up to any questions, Madam Chair, that anyone may have for me.
Excellent, thank you. I love it when we have good news. And as watching how our economy has been unpacked from the pandemic and how we've responded, how we've been proactive in celebrating how awesome it is here, but also the diversity inclusion is a huge kudos to the effort to make sure that everybody wants to live in Tampa Bay, especially Hillsborough. So we're clearly benefiting from it. I wanted to see if there was other questions, but I wanted to ask you a question while you're still there.
Just a quick question. Santiago, what are they telling you in terms of the completion of the convention center, the back end there?
Yeah, it's on time and on budget. We have actually a meeting this afternoon with the team at the convention center. They've been great to work with. Obviously, when there's construction, we have to be flexible and we have to work with clients. It's going extremely well. Should be done on time. Whatever that timeline was, I can't think off the top of my head when they were going to be done. But if you've not been in the convention center in a while, I was fortunate enough to be there for our National Travel and Tourism Week luncheon last week. Some of the improvements are incredible. The restrooms, the escalators, the change in the color palette that they're going through, very subtle, but there are some real changes there. And that backside over the Riverwalk is just going to be phenomenal. We're going to be talking about the future. Not just the immediate future, but the long-range future, because with the numbers that we just talked about and the improvements to the center, we're very attractive, and we're having difficulties, believe it or not, now placing things and moving around those huge occupancy numbers, getting enough rooms to fill a convention. We have to put together a number of hotel properties to accommodate some of these big conventions. So long story short, they are on time. It looks great. They've been phenomenal to work with. So if they're listening or watching, really a big thank you to them. And they're just keeping the ball rolling, and they're working hard to get done when they said they were going to get done, and working on some even future stuff, which is really exciting.
Thank you for the question. I was there last week for your annual meeting and celebration, and I will suggest to you it is gorgeous. The changes are Very impressive. It's light and bright and celebrates the diversity and the colors and the schemes that are all indicative of our region. So I'm really pleased to see what's happening there. Mr. Placencia, do you have a question? You're recognized.
Madam Chair, yeah, a couple quick comments. One, and the mayor and I were talking about this before we got started. It's hard to remain humble when you look at other cities and where we are in comparison to those cities. We do business around the country. I'm in New Orleans today, and they only wish that their numbers looked as strong as ours do. So congratulations and kudos to Visit Tampa Bay. The second point is that the convention center is coming back at just the absolutely right time. We're starting to see a massive pickup in group business. Not the huge citywides that we were seeing pre-pandemic, but certainly a lot of 600 and 700 and 800 room conferences and conventions starting to pick back up. And then corporate travel is also picking back up very nicely, in particular in Sunbelt states and throughout Florida. But the Tampa Bay area is by far the darling of the investment community. People love what they're seeing here, so keep it going, and thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Morrison.
While Santiago is standing at the microphone, he knows there's a survey that over the years they have been, Visit Tampa Bay has been a partner in delivering, and that survey deals with visitor spending. And the reason I raise it is because all of our presentation has talked about hotel this and hotel that, but that survey asked a simple question. What are the distribution of each dollar spent by a visitor in Hillsborough County? 30 cents or so of that pie chart goes to hotels, which means that 65 to 70 cents of every dollar spent by a visitor to our market, and this was a couple of years ago now, goes to retail, restaurant, attractions, transportation. So all of a sudden, we're not just talking about hotels being the winner, if you will, in this discussion. It really is a community-wide impact. It really is businesses across the landscape seeing what it means to see this marketing effort and the return on that investment. And I just wanted to share that while Santiago was standing at the podium, because if you just heard and listened to all of our presentations today, it sounds hotel-centric, so it leaves the impression that the only benefactor are hotels, and the data shows nothing could be further from the truth.
Normally, Mr. Morrison, it's food, beverage, entertainment, retail, sometimes even transportation before you get down to hotels. So it's interesting that the broader impact is sometimes missed. You know, when a hotel property opens in Hillsborough County, not only does it create jobs, but it pays property taxes to the city and the county. It buys water. It pays for solid waste removal. It pays for electricity from TECO. You know, all of those things benefit us, and not to mention the taxes that are collected, which are on the sales tax side. That means none of us have an income tax in Florida. So we sometimes miss, thank you, Bob, for bringing that up, because we miss all those tentacles that are affected when the industry does well. And I don't think there were many silver linings to COVID, right? But one was that this industry was sorely missed and is still being missed in some of these communities around the country and around the world. And so it is a symbiotic relationship between what happens here and in our industry with what happens in all communities around the country and around the world.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have a follow-up question. I noticed in your slides it talks about your digital campaign. And the hotel, the top, unless it's not in priority order, but the top hotel origin market is actually in Tampa, if that's accurate. Is it by ranking, or is it just listed that way?
I'm sorry, which slide are we?
It's a slide that covered the digital campaign
The
highlights.
digital OTA
one.
campaign?
Yeah, where are the top origin markets and the top
Yes,
flight
it is-
origin
it is
markets?
Tampa.
Tampa's the highest.
Yes, because folks in Tampa are looking for hotels in Tampa, for relatives, for friends. So it's people usually can't believe that, but it's true. When you're looking to accommodate family or friends or helping others find rooms, one of your top origin markets in searches is in your own hometown.
So that relates to my next question. What I really love about this report and the other, our partners in this effort, is the fact that you track data so well. And because I wear about 15 hats, one of them happens to be affordable housing. We have 7.7% of a month's worth of inventory of housing out there right now. So I'm curious about how the industry is working with their employees that are now facing rents at skyrocketing rates and no inventory. And I was curious if maybe, because what I heard when I visited McDill this week, because they're formulating a task force to address the housing crisis that we have here in this area. We have a crisis as a consequence of awesomeness, right? Everybody wants to live here. And so the available inventory for the people who work here and earn here is very, very challenged, very, very challenged. And so I'm doing everything I can to build affordable housing as fast as I can. Attainable housing, affordable housing, any kind of housing, just housing. But I would like to see if it's possible, if we could request, in looking at the data sets that you have, or in your industry data where you could survey, since you do such a great job as surveying, touch base with the employers that are seeing this wonderful opportunity to create great revenues for our area, and obviously great tax revenues for our area. But what kind of challenges are you having within your employee base? Because that's what I'm discovering. When I have military personnel that are, have orders to come here, and they can't find housing and are staying in our hotels because there's nowhere else for them to stay and they have to be here. There's an opportunity here to kind of figure out what we can do as a policy or as a program to assist those folks that are working and living here as we see such great things happening, because that's an important piece. If we continue this path where the people who work here can't find a place to live, it might impact our positive, wonderful, terrific place to be. And we may see some slowdown, and I don't want to see that. I really don't. I want to make sure that we are able and ready to take on anything that comes. And I'm so proud of where we are, but this is a real problem in our community. And I'd love to see if there's a way that you could sort of parse through the data to see how our employee bases that work in these establishments, whether it be the hotels or the restaurants or the retail that you can gather data from, to see what they're experiencing. Because I am hearing from some of the retail businesses that they are very concerned about their employees not being able to live in Hillsborough right now, given the inventory. And if there's something we should do or could do to collectively to address that effort. So it's a future item, a future business item, but if we could gather that data, because we are seeing that over in the Tampa Bay Economic Development Council, which I also now serve on. Some indications there that businesses that are looking to come here, are coming here because they want to bring their employees here and hire from here. And the hiring from here is not a problem. We have the workforce that's ready. But when they're bringing folks here, they're starting to see that there's a little bit of a challenge there. So I wanted to see if we could bring that back maybe at the August meeting to see, are there pain points there and what things we could suggest with our partners or to the Board of County Commission to be able to address those issues. So thank you so much for today. That's pretty amazing, pretty amazing. Mayor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to circle back real quick and echo a comment that Mr. Morrison said. A lot of people in our community don't understand the importance of visit tourism and conventions to our particular city. And a lot of people in the community and throughout the county say, well, you know, that's great if you're in the hospitality business, but it doesn't do anything for me because I'm not in that business. And so Visit Tampa Bay, for anybody who hasn't seen this, they make some very remarkable videos, but one of the most impactful ones I've seen recently is a little 3-minute animated video that I had Santiago send to me. And it's on Visit Tampa Bay's website, and I would encourage everybody listening and watching to show that video or talk to people about that video. It's 3 minutes, and it really does a great job of breaking down the downstream indirect impacts of this type of prosperity to people that are in industries that are totally unrelated to tourism. And so this truly touches every corner of the county, whether you're in a rural agricultural area or whether you're in the urban core. It touches Temple Terrace, although we're not the traditional tourism destination. This has a big impact on us in terms of job creation, skilled workers, EDC, it's all related. And that little 3-minute video, I love your videos, Santiago. You always do a great job.
Is that the one with the coins?
But yeah,
That's a terrific
the little 3-minute animated video says so much. And in our city, I've been really getting a lot of mileage out of that with Rotary clubs and our chambers and just showing that to people. And the reaction is like, wow, I didn't realize how much that impacts me when they have a convention in downtown. So I just encourage everybody to remember, when downtown Tampa succeeds, we all succeed, whether we're in another city, we're unincorporated, we're all linked together. And this is incredible news for all of us, even if you don't think that you're related to this, you are.
Mayor, thank you so much for that plug. It's called Measure the Treasure. That's it. And it's on our Visit Tampa Bay YouTube site. If you go to videos, it'll pop. It'll be one of the first to pop because it's one of our newer videos. And, we celebrate our county, and that includes our cities, Tampa, of course, Plant City and Temple Terrace. We've done our Unlocking Tampa Bay podcast, and we've gone out to Plant City and we've gone out to Temple Terrace, and we're unlocking those hidden jewels that exist throughout the county. And if you've not seen one of those episodes, they're eye-opening, because we really get out into our communities and talk about the incredible diversity and all that we have to share. So Measure the Treasure. It's on Visit Tampa Bay's YouTube site under videos. And thank you, because sometimes the entire impact is lost on some.
Well, it's not lost on me when Plant City is the strawberry capital of the world, and our state dessert now is strawberry shortcake. So it's very clear that it is more than just Tampa. It's all of our community and all of Hillsborough County, and that Measure the Treasure is amazing. I was like, I need to download that and keep it, because it's a terrific video, really showing the impact of having tourism as part of our overall ecosystem in Hillsborough County, and how it benefits everyone here. So thank you very much for your report. And with that, not seeing any other questions, Mr. Gonsmart, or Dr. Gonsmart, did you have something else you'd like to add?
Mayor, as you said, the hospitality industry, you don't have to work in here, because we're providing jobs to so many people, professionals, the printers, the suppliers, the farmers. We're working with everybody. When you look at the investment our family made at River Heights here at Eulalie, when there was nothing there, look at those property taxes now that are being generated. When you see the homes being constructed throughout this area, transportation is huge, and you and I believe we have to find a means. And there are ways, and I could sit here since '87. I've been saying that CSX line that comes from Brooksville, comes by Dade City, on and on. If we can get those individuals to be able to come to work in downtown without costing an arm and a leg, personally, I would pay for that monthly fee for my workers to come. We have to find means to get people to come to work. Affordable housing, I'm trying to relocate somebody here. I'm having to go to Trinity. We're having to go outside of the area. We have to be able to do something with the Heights area. You and I have many of the same thoughts, and I want to be on your team to help.
All right, you're recruited. Okay, don't go anywhere. That's why I knew you'd be right here and present. Thank you very, very much, everyone, for that conversation. And Mr. Carrata, keep rocking it. You're doing a great, great job. You and your team have really celebrated. Oh, by the way, is Soffit next week? Ooh. Yeah, talk about the benefit of having a military base here, but then the conventions that come. I think it was Sniper Week last week, and then Soffit's next week. We don't realize not only the impact of the military, but also how those conventions are going to come here because of the makeup and the diversity of our community. So thank you, everyone. That was sort of a general discussion or general discussion point, part of our agenda. Is there any other topics that need to come up that might be presented to us at the meeting? Our next meeting is in August, correct? Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Same here. Same here.